have not been getting photos.
You forgot to take them?
Yeah, all day. I know. That'll be the next thing when the studio gets bigger. I'll have somebody running that for me. Everything I'm not doing the way I want to do, I will have people doing those things. Yes.
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
All
And
right.
we are recording right now.
So ideally we will.
So, yes, this is being recorded and this is unedited.
Right. Look
So-
straight in or look at you.
Well,
or
both.
just- yeah.
These are
Okay.
people that this video is going to go out on YouTube, and Sorrell's going to professionally produce the audio.
Very
And
nice.
so that's really, and this right here is really for business owners to get comfortable with using video and realize it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get out there and do it, and
Get the
also
message out there.
and also to realize how easy it is to work on internet radio today. So if they want to have a show on Pegasus Netwaves, it's not that hard to do, and recording it on video just makes it an extra amplification. Woo-hoo.
All right, let's butter this corn.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, hello there. This is Susan Hamilton, and you're listening to the Offbeat Business Show. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable lunch hour with us. Business owners, we pride ourselves in having the best business-to-business, business-for-business resources out there today, respecting you and representing you that are the 80% of American small business, and I bet you didn't know you were. But 80% of American small business are family-owned businesses of 9 employees or less. That means we're building our families or building our businesses while we're raising our families, taking care of our kids, caring for our parents. We probably have a veteran in our midst that's either bringing their A game or their skill and discipline, or possibly they're struggling with reintegration after deployment. And more, we are dealing with addicts in our family and workspace that really can mess with the focus. You know, our heart goes out to that kind of trouble, but it's happening in a major way. And out of that, about 30% of us realize that, you know, criminal justice has less to do with due process than padded pockets, especially when it comes to the needs of the addicts in that we are around, and we'd love to get some actual help. So anyway, these things do matter to us. These things are impacting us. And so when I share these business-to-business resources, like today I'm sharing with you Craig Speck of Speck Transportation. Thank you for being here today, Craig. Great to see
Appreciate the
you.
opportunity to visit with an amazing lady and an amazing show.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool
We've known each
show.
other for a while.
Yes.
I've watched you grow a lot in your business life, and you're great. You're great. You're
Yeah,
amazing.
and you have come up with 2 books. Look at that. Look at this, Craig Speck. And these books you will find links to underneath this video and underneath the audio on our podcast page. So, Craig, you've got a really interesting business model. You don't run into too many people that are managing the entire nation's travel plans, and that is what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about Speck Transportation.
At Speck Transportation, we provide ground transportation for groups, traveling groups all over the United States. We're independent reps for and volume buyers from 10 car and van rental companies, 20 motor coach carriers, a school bus company with drivers, and 10 limousine companies, as well as all of their affiliates around the United States.
And I think I want you to understand a little bit about those limousine companies, friends, because there is a way to level up how you are showing up in business. And when you've got people coming in from out of town, sending a car over, it's a pretty sweet deal.
That's right. And when you compare the investment of having a uniformed sedan with a uniformed driver that speaks English and smells nice versus your typical taxi, you know, nothing against taxis, but it just, when you're presenting an image and bringing in important people, it's good to, you know, have the nicest vehicle, clean, smells nice.
It's a nice
with a professional
representation.
driver.
There's just no
Exactly.
doubt about
No
it.
doubt
You
about
know, it's an up level, which is what we all need to be doing because it's time to really be generating that increased revenue. But it's going to cost a little bit to do that in every area of your business. But when you're willing to embrace that and step out, you're going to watch and see everything grow and amplify and really build that strong brand and that feeling, right? A brand encompasses a feeling, an emotion when you're exposed to it.
That's
and
right.
that kind of treatment, that's pampering. That's you, and you take really good care of your people, Craig.
Absolutely.
You take really good care of your people. All right, so now I'm going to give Craig a minute to share his rap with you.
I'm Craig Speck with Speck Transportation. We provide the wheels to help you travel the nation. Whether you need a motor coach, limousine, or van, just pick up the phone. I'm your rental man. Whether you need a van or coach to supplement your fleet, I got access to more than anybody on the street. with or without drivers at volume buying rates. I'll give you the kind of service you can appreciate. There's no real competition when you need to rent. Just give me a call and your time's well spent. From small cars to big coaches, I've got them all. Just look to me, I'm your one-stop call. Whenever you need me, you'll always find me there. Your group safety's riding on more than a prayer. So when your group needs to go on a traveling spree, call 817-477-3003. Whoo!
So if you've been listening to Craig any length of time, he shares this all over Facebook and his YouTube channel and shares this on a regular basis and gets a lot of attention out here. Runs around, and when he's doing networking, he makes sure everybody gets to see it. And, you know, we've got to learn how to step out and do things a little bit different in our business today. I'm thinking he nailed it. What do you think? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had that marketing rap since 1994 when I was attending a group of business owners, and all of their introductions were absolutely dead. I wanted to liven up the room.
Oh, man. That's just it. You do see that a lot, don't you? I know. It's like, especially you want to go to
franchise bred dead end introductions. I sure do.
The thing of it is, you want to go to those networking groups where there's a lot of people there, but when you have to sit through all of that and everybody sounds the same, and all the coaches that teach you how to do it tell everybody to do it like this, it just gets to be obnoxious, and you've got to think outside the box. I'm proud of you for that, my man.
Absolutely. And no one wants to ever follow me at one of those.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, now I'm dead again.
I'm not going to sit on the side of Craig Speck when he does that rap. So.
But at the same time, things are really, really building for you, because one of the groups that you really focus on is and out of the heart that you have for this for churches and for making sure travel safety for these large groups. I mean, whether it's sports groups or vacation groups or retirement homes or churches, schools, you care that everybody who gets in to the vehicle ends up where they're going and gets back out safely and at the best possible cost. You're seeing some crazy stuff.
I really am. And what happens, I mean, you take your average motor coach carrier, you see the big 55 to 57 passenger coaches that are down the road with,
the tour buses.
Yeah, tour buses. And what happens is you've got people making decisions in these companies and churches and schools that the only thing they're considering is the investment. You know, it takes a minimum of $5 million for a coach company to legally operate. And if you don't have that certificate of insurance, you shouldn't be letting your group get in those vehicles, whatever that may be. And that's just one of the strict requirements I have for a supplier to join our network. My spectacular coach supplier selection process.
Making sure they are the ones. You know, Texas isn't the only state that has miles and miles and miles of unlit highway. And we hear about it all the time on I-20, right? People coming in from Louisiana back and forth. Constantly, buses and cars are running into parked big rigs on and off the exit ramps. They don't see them. They just whack right into them.
Absolutely.
I mean, and then you get into these other areas where then you find out, well, maybe there was some inebriation. Maybe there was some drug use or, psychological issues or distraction, right? Because maybe you had a rowdy group. But you see it all the time. And when you see that, man, I know it eats you up.
It does. You know, there's one thing that you can do as a group leader before your driver ever gets behind the wheel. When the coach or the limousine shows up to pick up your group, they must have a valid CDL license. You can look at it, make sure it's not expired. You can ask to see the driver's medical card, and you can look at them to make sure they're in a condition to drive.
Well, that one of the last ones in the last couple of years, I bet you remember it. The driver was exhausted. There was nothing wrong with him until they realized that man had been awake for 48 hours taking that drive with that. Do you remember that?
I do.
He was just tired. I mean, how do you safeguard against things like that?
Well, one thing is that the coach carriers that I represent, do not let their drivers go more than 10 hours or 600 miles, whichever comes first. They have to have 8 to 9 hours of rest before they can get back on the road again. And the unscrupulous companies are going to be continuing to run those drivers until they're absolutely exhausted and increasing the liability that there's going to be a crash and that kind of thing.
Well, it's happening all the time, so
Yeah.
obviously it's not being dealt with, and you have to deal with it responsibly from the core level. When you're putting these things together, who is the person that you tend to want to talk to at the churches that can help you make these connections and book these travel plans?
I'm typically as I started my business in November of 2001, I was working mostly with youth pastors.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my books, my initial book for youth pastors, because when they attend seminary, the most dangerous thing that they're doing, driving down the road in vans, coaches, and school buses with their kids. They're not taught anything about that in the seminary, which is one of the reasons I want to develop a course for the seminaries.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I've actually spoken at Southwest Baptist Theological Seminary. There's a professor, Dr. Johnny Duran, there that gives my books to students. He teaches out of my books, and he's asked me to come speak a couple of times because he knows how important it is that when these youth pastors get in these positions, he doesn't want them making decisions that can get their group injured or killed or have a crash, be taken advantage of by a scam supplier, or just any multiple number of things that can cost the church money and increase the liability and risk of something happening to their people. And with my screening process, I eliminate all of that. It's a very painstaking internal process that I built over my 28 years in the industry.
So how long does it take to complete that process and become a driver for you?
Well, as far as drivers, because Speck Transportation doesn't actually own any vehicles, we represent 40 fleets across the nation. And
right. So you've got to be very careful to be able to back up that claim.
Very, very careful. The suppliers that I work with have to have a driver training program that I can understand, and they have to give their drivers the proper rest. I have to be able to look and make sure that they have the proper insurance, the $5 million. I don't allow any carrier into the network that has any fatal crashes on the record at all.
All right. Yeah, that's an automatic out.
Yeah, that's an automatic out, and only one injury crash is allowed if I know about it and it's not their fault. What happens is the DOT will tag a coach carrier or limousine company. Give you an example, there was a recent situation in which one of my mini coach carriers was going through the North Dallas Tollway, and a police car rear-ended him at the toll booth. Mm-hmm. And a guy in the back hit his head on the cage, and they called that an injury accident. And they put it on the record for 2 years. Mm. So the DOT can tag you for anything. It's knowing what the circumstances are as to whether or not they're okay to carry my groups.
Okay, all right. So you're going to get in there and you're going to get in depth and you're going to. So,
that's right.
So how long is it going to take to go through this process of yours?
Well, for a supplier to go through my screening process, it takes. First of all, they're only allowed to come in on a referral now from another client, or from a current supplier that has passed my network screening process. It's an internal process. They don't even know how they're being screened.
Okay.
And that's how I keep them off base. And so it could take anywhere from a week to a month or longer, because I'm so thorough. We're looking at their driver and mechanical violations.
So one thing could lead to the next thing you've got to look at.
That's right.
So you can't say it's a specific time frame, but it's real important for them to be in contact with you and be on your list if in fact they have a worthwhile organization and
Absolutely.
Want to be a part of that.
And I work with the cream of the crop, and it's, as I said, it's taken some time and some painstaking effort to get it right.
Because you're not limited to any geographic location. You are nationwide, my friend.
I can help anybody anywhere in the nation.
I love that.
And because we have the screening process and no one else does, we back everything with a 200% guarantee.
200%.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, that's really wonderful information for our American business-focused audience to understand. That 200% guarantee. You know your people are going to end up safely when they get to where they're going. And some of these tips in here, as I'm looking through, I mean, you're not messing around. There is so much that you can share. We're about to go to break, and you're going to hear from some of our sponsors. And when we get back, we're going to talk to Craig Speck of Speck Transportation a little bit more and talk about some ways that we are blowing our money and we're not making sense of our financial choices. And that can matter to you, whether you want to take your team on a vacation, you want to take them on a trip, right, or take them on an educational outing, however you want to do that, or whether or not you're working with a youth group or with a church. and the myriad of reasons that you might need these services. This is Susan Hamilton. You listen to the Offbeat Business Show. We're going to be right back.
Clear. Sound good. I do have a spike of.
I hit this, didn't I? Yeah.
No, did you guys laugh?
Maybe. Oh, no. He did a rap.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah, the rap. Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Spiked up the sound. Yeah.
The
And
sound
I'm pretty
wave.
close to the mic too. Usually when I'm doing that, I don't have the
Okay,
mic.
I see the rhythm. There it is. I see the rhythm. Okay.
Yep. It was
I
noisy.
had so much fun doing that. It was much more fun when I added the music to it with Casey, and
So
created
how was
the
it?
crazy video.
How was the rap from a white man?
Byron.
How was the rap from the white man?
There was a rap.
Hopefully he means it was smooth.
No, I'm pretty sure he meant it.
Well, it's funny.
It was a white man's rap.
It's funny because I grew up in southern central Dallas, and I always say, "Well, I'm that white boy from Oak Cliff that has the soul in him,"
Which high school?
Kimball,
Oh, you're one of those kids.
yeah,
Class of.
Kimball '83.
Oh, okay, Spruce 79.
Yeah.
You went to school with some of my
Now
cousins.
you know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting is '79 and '80, I was singing at the baseball games all through those years as a sort of I'd come to the Higgins Field. I was called the songbird of Higgins Field, and I would, sing out there, at the baseball games. I worked out with the JV and varsity baseball for 4 or 5 years out there, maybe 6.
Wow, Higgins Field. That breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Still there, yep.
This is how comfortable it is. Seriously.
Yeah, we reminisce.
You need to reach out to me about being on the show. Totally fine. You having a good time?
I am.
Okay.
The only thing that's missing is the food. All right, here we go. Segment 2.
And we're back. This is Susan Hamilton. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. And I want to just reiterate that we are talking to that 80% of American small business. We are representing you. That tend to be employing 9 employees or less, raising your kids while you're building your business, probably taking care of your parents. You probably have a veteran in your workspace or your family, and you probably have an addict in your workspace or your family. All of these things matter to you. All those issues run right down the core of American business today, and we speak to that. So when we're talking about business for business resources and solutions, you will find the very best right here on the Offbeat Business Show. And today I'm talking with Craig Speck of Speck Transportation. And he's been sharing information out of both of these books and some really healthy perspective because you're loving your people. You're making sure that when they get when they get into a driven bus or coach, that they're being taken care of and they're going to get where they need to go because you're making really good choices about who you even allow in your network.
That's right.
And you're nationwide. I mean, you've got how many vehicles do you have access to?
Well, 40 fleets initially in my initial network and all their affiliates. So 20 coach fleets, 10 limousine fleets, nationwide school bus company, and then 10 car and van rental companies.
Yeah, so this is your dude. This is somebody you can trust. You're going to find all kinds of different ways to travel America, and even just travel locally and throughout like right here in the DFW Metroplex.
That's right.
But you know what? You really need to make sure you're doing that due diligence because all of us are seeing on the news on a regular basis that vehicle is making. There's a driver that's made a really bad choice that maybe doesn't have a clean bloodstream, or they're really, really tired and they've taxed themselves too much, or a lot of times even when you're driving kids from school, you might have an unruly group. What kind of do you have anything in place that helps them helps them know that driver's capable of addressing that safely?
Well, the
Is there
driver
any protocol for that?
the driver training programs that my carriers use, they're trained in customer service. They're trained to understand, especially with the volume of business that I do. I mean, we're basically the Sam's Club and Costco of all of these categories.
Okay.
And so the carrier is doing everything they can with my name attached to it to take excellent care and make sure they place the best drivers on my jobs. So that's exciting too because I know I can count on that.
It is. And so there's a couple things I wanted to make sure we talked about during this second half here because American business owners need to be taking more vacations. They don't know how to take, where do you find those coaches? Where do you get the best deals? And how do you know what you need? Because it's really easy to spend way too much money.
Absolutely.
And we want to take our families on vacation. And we want to pick up our people from the airport. And we want to cater to our special customers and clients and give them that extra special treatment to up-level our brand and to up-level just that feeling that
Raise
they
the
get,
bar.
right?
I
Raise
agree.
the bar, absolutely. In every area of our life. So talk to us a little bit about some of the easy mistakes that we make in those environments. Does anything come to your mind?
Well, there's so many things that can make a trip go south, literally, when you're supposed to be headed north. And one of those, just to give you an example, when our business people, when they go to the airport, there's the one of my second book talks about my 6 outrageous transportation scams and how to avoid them.
That is this one, right?
That correct.
Right.
And it talks about how when you go to the airport and you rent a vehicle, the rental agent is not trained to worry about the damage going out. And what they do is they rent you the vehicle and they point and they say, there's the vehicle.
Right.
Go to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out and you inspect it, or you go out and you get in it and you drive away. Well, you come back and the spare tire in the jack is missing, or there's a crack in the windshield, or somebody's there was a dent there before that, because you weren't assertive about inspecting the vehicle before it was taken out.
You're just ready to go.
So what you have to do is you have to get that rental agent to come out with you and walk around that vehicle and open up the trunk and make sure the spare tire and jack are there, make sure that there's no nails in the tires from what you can see, lift up the wipers and look on the inside and the outside of the window for chips, cracks or stars. And so those are some things that you can do, and you need to make sure that they write it down and they give you a copy of it and you both autographed it, because they are trained when they come back to catch every piece of incoming damage and charge you for it.
Okay, all
And
right.
that's
It could have been there from before.
That's right.
Yeah.
I call that the key toss self-inspection trick.
The what?
I call it the self-inspection key toss trick.
Okay.
Because they toss you the key and they tell you to go out there, but when you come back, you can have a lot of headaches.
All right. That's really good
and
advice.
file against your insurance and watch the rates go up. Maybe you have to worry about it canceling if you've had previous claims. So the last thing you need as a business owner is another claim on your insurance.
Darn tootin'. Yeah, that's good advice. So tell us about some of the other things that you see that we can be doing a better job of, maybe when it comes to vacation.
Well, on vacation, I think the weak spot for most business owners, families, church groups is that they call and they don't have an itinerary. Anything with a driver is based on 4 factors.
Okay.
Dates, times, miles, and hours.
Okay.
And if we don't have an initial mock itinerary, we can't give an accurate quote. And you'll have people call and they'll say, well, I need a quote on this. Well, where are you going? I have a whole layout in my book about what's needed in an itinerary.
Good.
And so if you don't give the who, it's just like in business. If we don't have the who, what, where, when, why, and how much, we can't move forward. So you've got to provide all the information when you call for a quote, and then it'll be given to you. But you got to give the pieces before you get the whole pie.
Well, I think that's interesting. I'm really glad that you covered that information in these books, because this is going to help them know what to look for, have some guidelines, and I understand that these are pretty popular. So these are going
Absolutely.
out. They are flying off like hotcakes.
They are.
Yeah. So this is wonderful. What kind of feedback are you getting on your books?
Well, the feedback is that the level of trust with clients has risen dramatically and exponentially, because when you take time to put helpful information out there, and I'll say to all the other business owners out there that I never thought I would be a published author, and people ask me, well, how did you write 2 books? And I say, it really wasn't that hard, because for me, I'm a slow implementer, and if I can be an author, anybody can. And what I did is I went out to WordPress.com, I got me a free blog, I gave it a name, and I started capturing my thoughts in writing every week or every other week. And before I knew it, I had enough for 2 books. And I'm planning on writing a 3rd one in 18 months.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And it's just from capturing your thoughts in writing. You've got to be writing, because most money that you're gonna make will have something to do with something you wrote, something you spoke, because when I can repurpose my content in my book 7 different ways.
Yes, you can, and I think there's a lot of wisdom to that. Of course, we believe in third-party content and third-party endorsements through what we do here, and totally agree with that. We want to make sure all of our digital content's going out, audio, video, digital blogs, and then also through our digital magazine, so that people can see it in their preferred manner of information. But I always tell people that editorial writing every single month for our magazine, that is a book at the end of the year. You have just put together, so it's so important to go forward with the strategy and really think that through. How do we want that message to take a shape throughout the year? So at the end, you've got a full-on story. But your heart's just been about this particular issue for so long. This is what you think about all the time.
It pretty much is.
So you want people safe, and you really get sick of hearing the things that go wrong. And you really get sick of hearing us blow our money when we didn't have to. And
That's right.
Why didn't they talk to you? Why didn't they talk to Craig?
Well, and I'll share a fast example. I had a youth pastor call me today who worked with a coach company, 2 coach companies that actually fired several years ago because one couldn't pass the screening process, the other one started having their driver and their mechanical violations were into the stratosphere, into the negative.
Yeah.
And what he did is he rented from one of them before he found out about me, and the bus burned up on his parking lot. And didn't hurt anybody, but it could have roasted everyone alive. Needless to say, I'm the only guy that he'll ever talk to because I mailed him a copy of my book. Right after the crash, he called me today and he said, I'm so thankful that I have an expert that I can turn to. This is not something that you want to play around with, folks.
No, it's not.
You're talking about the lives and the safety of your group, of your employees, of your people. And if you're only considering the investment, you're in trouble. You're sacrificing the safety of your group to maximize your budget, and that's where crashes. That's where crashes and lawsuits and all kinds of things can happen to your group and to you. Churches have gone out of business after crashes. They just literally shut down because the pastors couldn't handle the guilt. And this youth pastor that had the fire is going through some of that. He's going to restore his credibility by working with our company because he's going to go into his committees and have my books in his hand, and he knows he can pick up the phone and I'll come see him. And I'll be right there to consult with him. And this is my passion, is keeping groups safe.
That's so important. That's so important. We don't have to be making these bad choices. There's answers everywhere. And from a business perspective, friends, I want you to think about how Craig has positioned himself and how he's used publishing to do that. We talk about that all the time here on the Offbeat Business Show and Magazine. He is taking advantage of publishing to elevate his brand, to familiarize himself, the community with what he's doing so that they know who the expert is. And then he's very, very timely with making sure that he's responding to the things that are going on. You're aware, you're paying attention, and you respond and you're right on. And that matters, and you can do that too. And like he's saying, publishing today is not so terribly hard, but the biggest part of it is the discipline, right?
That's right.
Is getting yourself over and over and over doing that.
It's a lot of sacrifice, even with family, to take the time to write. I know even some weekends the wife has said on your iPad, what are you doing? You could be with me. And I said, just let me finish these 2 paragraphs.
Well, you best take her on vacation now.
And I do.
Oh, man.
We're celebrating our 24th anniversary in May.
Oh, wow. Our anniversaries are so close. We'll be going into our 20th.
Very close.
Yay. Yay, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Well, give Renee a hug for me.
I will.
And I think that's exciting. Good, good, good. Friends, you're going to find all this information about Craig, as well as a link to his blog, to his rap, which is kind of crazy. You're going to like that. Share it with your friends. Share it everywhere, because we got to do what we can do to really build our own celebrity and be known out there with our business, so that the people who need us can find us. Yeah, you think it's as easy as the Yellow Pages or Google search. There's really so much more to that, because when you find a ton of things, yeah, you want to be up there on your first page, but how you represent, what that means, there's a lot of first page search results that bite, and you know it, and you don't want to be that. You want to be up there, and you want to be the best. So take a moment to think about how you can elevate your business today using some of Craig's ideas here. And by all means, if you are taking care of teams, if you are involved in transportation arrangements, make sure you reach out to Craig Speck and use those links below this video and stay in touch with him. Craig, how can they reach you?
My website is speckgroundtransportation.com. My blog site is vancoachlimoexpert.com. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. You can also find my new professional rap video at Prod44 on YouTube under Ridiculous Business Marketing Rap. Go see it. It will make you laugh. It's funny.
So, do you like phone calls?
I do love phone
Why'd
calls.
you
You
give
can
me
reach
that?
me at 817-477-3003 or 817-437-8702.
And as always, friends, find our lineup, our replays, our magazine and articles, and even download our app at offbeatbusiness.com. And we'll be back again next week. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you share this information. Get down there and sign up to subscribe to our newsletter so you can get information on a regular basis coming straight to you, and you'll know what's going on with the Offbeat Business Show magazine.
You done?